we're talking about is this 3 stages of true awakening that a creator being initiates. I become me, I am Lily that I am.
Yeah.
This, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Christine is Christine there. And by the way, what you have in the back of you is gorgeous art.
Oh, thank you.
I love
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, it's just a room divider.
So here I'm gonna take a time and introduce the name of our show. Okay. So it is the 3 stages of awakening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we called it this 3 stages of awakening. And so first one, you called it this, Christine, is awareness of finding our balls. This is stage 1.
I remember. Yes.
Okay, stage 2, I'm gonna give 3 stages right now, and then we can go a little bit more into details about it.
Mm-hmm.
Awareness of ability to create. This is a stage 2. 3 is mastery of self. Let's give an overview of the first stage. As you put it, it says awareness of finding our balls, determining that we are not going to stay in this shit. It is what the fuck moment. Stage 1.
It is, and I think a good portion of humanity is in that place right now, where due to all the revelations that have gone on, due to the breakdown of what we would have considered the foundational aspects of society, government, education system, health system, food system, all the things that we as a foundation, as a humanity, and as, you know, bodies, has broken down. There's no way you can avoid not knowing that. And when people know that, then they look around and they say, what the fuck? And they get pissed off about it. And they think, I believed in all of this shit, and it is shitty. Like, what is going on here? And I spent, probably 10 years awakening people to those foundational aspects of society, and talking about all of that, Monsanto and glyphosate and chemtrails and all of that stuff, and trying to wake people up about all of that, because I was angry. Felt ripped off. I felt like I had to take control of my health, and I had to detoxify, and I became a leader in the field of personal health and wellness, and I actually was a spokesperson for a supplement company, and I used that platform to talk about all of the ways in which we were being manipulated and solutions. I never wanted to come from a fear-based, fear porn victim mentality about it. I wanted to inspire people to become their own health advocate and take back their power and stop allowing external forces to have as much influence on our bodies and minds and spirits as possible. And so that is like the first level, where people say, if it's to be, it is up to me, because no one's got my freaking back, and the world is a mess, and I have to take the reins. And that's what that first stage is for a lot of people. It may come through a health crisis. It may come through a dark night of the soul. It may come through somebody sending a link to somebody else about, you know, the chemicals and the GMOs and whatever. It may come in bits and pieces over time, and sometimes it will never come. I seriously know people who this information is not penetrating, and it may never penetrate some people. But I think the majority of us now are at least at a stage 1 in their level of awakening and awareness to what is. And until we acknowledge what is, we can't change it. So that's, for me, that's level 1.
three stages that we talking about today are meant only to help you to gauge where you are at. So that was stage one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stage one, what the fuck moment.
Yeah.
But this is the thing though, Christine, we can talk about that, you know, we know a lot of people that got stuck at this stage. Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. So
Okay.
I was talking about the dark night of the soul that I went through for like a year, and the difference between the dark night of the soul where we're questioning everything and turning over every stone and determining what really belongs to us and what really doesn't belong to us, how we've operated, what we bought into, what our belief systems are and why they are the way they are. All of that comes in that dark night of the soul area. But even before that happened, just with the level one, sort of stage one awareness of what's going on in the world, we start making choices at that point to reorganize our life and stop drinking the fluoride and, you know, protect ourselves, I guess. And I don't really like now at this, where I'm at now in this process, is that I don't really like to use the word protect ourselves, because it's fear-based, because we don't really need to protect ourselves from anything. We really just need to have an awareness about how powerful we are and how a lot of these messages and belief systems don't really have the power over us that we think that they do. And yes, we have to make smart choices. And yes, we're going to take better care of ourselves because we want to keep our body healthy and we want to avoid, you know, I don't know, vaccinations, flu shots, chemicals, ingesting shit. You know, all of that is just common sense.
And you start speaking up, you start seeing it, you allow, you acknowledge yourself.
When the moment comes where you really deeply resonate with this truth, so many things just fall into place. And it's such a powerful experience when you realize, and I was euphoric for a few days, because I realized that, like one of your quotes says, I was untouchable. Like I realized that I was untouchable. Like nothing out there was going to shift the truth of who I am. And it became a whole new ballgame. When you realize that you've had the power all along, you've had the ruby slippers all along. We hear these sayings and people, you know, they think, well, what does that mean? When you know what that means, you know what it means. It's one of those things where you realize that you're an eternal being, for one thing. So what's happening in this go round or in this lifetime, all the experiences, all the ways we've participated, all the ways we've been manipulated, all the ways we've been traumatized, and so on and so forth, do not actually really touch who we really are. And when we step into and recognize our full power, all of that just becomes, and I don't mean to minimize it at all, but it does get minimized. It gets totally minimized in the face of the reality that is the truth of who we are and the freedom that that actually entails. So, you know, then we begin to take our power back and we move into this stage 2, which is where we become true, authentic creators in our lives. And we start to look at all of those ways in which we participated, and we reorganize and restructure from a place of inspired action the true things that we really want to focus on, that we're going to give our energy, our time, our money, because that's the system we've got set up right now, is largely a monetary system. However, it does become more of an energetic exchange. It does become more of a choice exchange on how I'm going to spend my time, whether or not I'm going to continue to participate in that job just because there's, expectations of others for me tied to it. Like, people expect me to keep that job because it's a good job, but I would rather learn how to play the violin. So which choice do we step into that honors ourselves authentically? Because there's no fear, because we don't have a fear anymore. It's more about being real with ourselves for maybe the first time in our lives, like really saying, I'm going to rock this shit out because I'm not afraid, because I know who I am, because I know how powerful this is. And I recognize that this life is a gift, and how we use this lifetime is our gift to experience. I don't have to teach anybody anything. I don't have to go out and show the world anything. I don't have to, play different roles for other people. Just because I have in the past doesn't mean from this place forward that I need to continue to live out any expectations that others have of me. And I can choose certainly to do that, but I'm going to choose it from a place of inspiration, not from a place of expectation that I have of myself or that anyone else has of me. So that's the difference between stage one, and I'm sorry for the cat crying at the door. But so that's the difference between the place of the finding your balls and acting on your balls as the creator, in coming into what you will and will not accept, to really realign ourselves. And a lot of awakenings happen in this stage. As we're starting to participate in the things that we're inspired by, and we're spending our moments focused on things that we're inspired by, we get more of that, because where we focus our energy grows into more moments that are similar to that vibration, that experience. So like, if I'm really happy, gardening, and I like gardening and I spend my energy gardening, well, my garden is going to grow. There's no two ways about it. My garden is going to produce the fruits of my labor and my time and my energy and my effort and my vision. And in the quantum field, it's going to match my intention for my garden. And I could have stuff grown in my garden that I didn't even plan on growing, but that just show up because the universe has gotten in behind my intention and supported me in that, because of the quantum field, which we can now access as people who understand how powerful we are, and how where we put our intention and our time and energy shows up as greater rewards in our lives. So it is all connected. And for me, that's what this, we're just calling it level 2 just to make a conversation out of this, but that's what this next stage is really about. And I spent a good probably 2 or so years really making those changes and making those shifts in my life. And I've spent 10 years easily refining things and going through that process of not drinking fluoridated water and doing all those different types of improvements. But then when I came to that dark year of the soul, and I sat still, like I literally sat still, I'm empowered to make my own choices within the reality that we're living in. So I did that for a long time. But then when we come to this, stage of creating our lives, I'm talking a little bit more, all of that is still involved if you haven't done that stuff yet. When you get to the second stage, it's really more about honoring yourself, honoring what lights you up, honoring your own path, forging your own trail. And it doesn't have to look like anybody else's trail. It doesn't have to bend to anybody else's will. It doesn't have to include anyone else if you don't want it to. It's our experience. It's our gift of our life that we get to create. And there's no rules about it other than that we are happy and are joyful and are using the gift of our experience. And then we start making choices in a whole other way that aren't just about supporting our foundation or supporting our highest good in terms of our health and mental health and how we spend our time and what makes us happy. Then it becomes more about the choices that are about how we want to, in the understanding of what is, in the understanding now of all of this and how we get to choose how we show up and participate, what is it that we really want to do? And what are we inspired by? And moment to moment making those choices. And then, of course, it'll come in where we are looking at the long term and we do start creating on purpose and for the future. And that is where we start moving into the third stage, which is mastery, which is about not only mastering our own energy and mastering how we respond, not react, but how we respond to other energies and influences and where other people are at and whether or not we want to participate with them. And all of that has to do with mastery of, you know, how we choose to show up moment to moment is a mastery. But also, I think in the mastery level, and I don't know if there's more, there may be more levels. This is just where I feel like I'm at now. It's like I'm starting.
I know there is.
Yeah.
There might be. Who knows how many levels? Because
Yeah.
there is never is. I want to go back. Yeah, we want to talk about the mastery. It's the mastery of self. It's the mastery of your creation. It's the becoming the creator being. And then, but I want to go back to stage 2 a little bit and just add to it a little bit more, because this is to me what's really interesting. What you talked about stage 2 is that it begins with you recognizing that you're eternal being, and this is about the metamorphosis processes. It is called in a lot of shamanic work and teachings, and again, like I said, the stage 2, it will bring you talked a little bit earlier about the deeper levels of the dark night of the soul, and sometimes it can last a long time. With this eternal self-recognition, you go through another layer of deep night of the soul, I guess, but it's a different level. It's the one that transforms you into a spirit, eternal spirit being. So then you come out of it sort of as a butterfly on the other side. And that's, I think, it's the huge key you pointed out to, is that recognition. And this is what you said originally. It changes your perspective from stage 1. And this is when you come into stage 2, is because you are changed now. You are stepping into your power, like you said, because that's the power of eternal being. You know there is no death. You know you're eternal. You know your life is the most truer, or the most truest, maybe.
Precious gift.
English lessons. I need English lessons in my mystery school for me. That becomes the truest. Your life becomes the truest expression of that eternal self. So then you become, or you come into that awareness as eternal self. Now you're ready to kick some ass.
or not.
This is why you say, you know, and even moving into the third stage, now you are not just, you know, going, oh, this is wrong and this is wrong and there is abuse here and there and there. You are here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and you're all out of bubble gum.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to say a couple of things about what you just said. when we're in the stage 2, when we recognize who we really are and that this is a precious gift and that we're here to be a source experiencing ourselves and experiencing um, the I'll just call it the awareness of all that we come into contact with. We can experience, whatever we choose to experience, whether that's participating in things with our family or growing our garden or doing whatever lights us up. So when we get to that place where we recognize that, I also want to say that we also have the choice to participate in ways that, maybe darker. So it's not all about, wonderful choices that people make, because people, can have a high level of awareness and can be I believe that they can be in this knowledge that they are eternal beings and that they're very powerful, and that where they focus and create has results and long-lasting effects in lives that they're touching, that they're influencing. And there are a lot of darker people and darker energies at play as well in this area. So, I want to point that out, that we're talking about it because we're lovely people. We're talking about it as, a wonderful experience for us, because that is our perception of it. We can look at the darkness and see it for what it is, and see how we made choices and where our journey landed us and what we believed in and all of that. We can see it from the perspective of, oh, thank God I know better now. And, I have more awareness now, and I recognize myself as being so powerful. But there are, other beings who will look at these experiences from a different perspective than what we've just been sharing here. And that leads us to the next place, which is the mastery. This is where we get to choose really how we, show up in our lives, and what we're going to participate in at a deeper level. So it's not just about the choices about how I spend my time and energy. It's really about the choice of who I choose to be, who I choose to, and that's not even right when I say that, because we are an eternal energy, right? We are an eternal being. So it's not like, what we choose right here is actually who we are, but we can use the awareness of who we really are and what we really are, which is source experiencing itself, and choosing to participate in this reality with other people. So we can choose what I would call mastery of the options that we have. And I think we're going to go like this. It's going to be dips and dives, because of how deep everything goes, and because we need to continue having these conversations about, just because we're acknowledging this, the way that we're doing it may also take us in another rabbit hole, may also take us down another little deep dive, until we come up for air again and get to another place where we recognize that, hey, that wasn't right either. And what you're talking about, this inner force, this inner drive, this innate awareness, will keep bringing us back up. We go down, we go up, we go down, we go up. But soon, and the people who get to this third level are more like this, and a balance, an even keel. In spite of what's happening like this, we can see it all sort of more like this. And it's self-perpetuating. It's got a forward momentum where we feel joy, we feel awareness, we feel joyful about what's happening, even though it looks like a chaotic mess. It's actually very good for me. It's very good for my spirit. It's very good for my soul, as far as I know what's happening is necessary, and it's moving us forward and getting us more to an even keeled place. And so that awareness and that knowingness fuels me and makes me feel like, yes, this is the way that we need to continue to focus our energy and our time and continue to move in these directions, because the evidence is appearing that this is the right way to go. And I say right in terms of giving us momentum and giving us stability, giving us a foundation, moving us along forward in this direction towards, a better humanity and towards more awareness and towards keeping to regenerate this energy, keeping to regenerate ourselves as a humanity. And the alternative is where we've been.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. And this is where the fun happens because this is where we can play and we can feel our ability to contribute at a greater level than we have in the past, because we recognize that the choices that we make, good or bad, and it's all, at that stage, it's not necessarily a duality for us, because we can accept all that is, but we can choose to participate however we are inspired to do so. And so this inspiration place it's from that place of recognizing what is, that we can actually start to move forward with new energy, new invigoration. I come from a place, an innate knowing that, I said it before, the highest intention always wins. And I really have an innate, I don't know if you want to call it a divine code or
natural intelligence of Goddess Sophia. We're magical beings. We create reality, we create time. We are magic itself. But what you talked about, and I recently started calling that energy also, I want to come back to this energy of self, core self, or the moral code, or where it is, how to talk about it. We're struggling to find the words. I call it a lifeblood lately. This process is incredibly rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
That word doesn't even describe it fully.
Freeing,
yes. Liberating. Yep. It really is liberating for the spirit.
I think it's beautiful and glorious and just a real gift to be able to participate at this time on the planet and to recognize that the energy that we're creating, when we can master this and when we can hold that energy and we can affect others around us, affect the collective consciousness with this awareness and with this level of energy that self-perpetuates, it's so powerful, and it's a true gift to be able to be a part of that.
I love how we really putting it down, and that's really, it's going to turn out to be a really good lecture.
Good. That's what we want.
Right?
Yeah. It's self-perpetuating. It's an awareness that, in spite of whatever is going on, more and more awareness builds, more and more energy builds, power, if you want to call it power. Like, I feel when I see the world breaking down and I see all of these things coming to the surface and being revealed, it gives me joy. It gives me joy because I recognize that it has to be revealed in order for us to change it.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Stay wild, everybody. Stay wild. Always. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Lily.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us in this conversation. Thank you, everybody, for watching these videos. Until next time, and Christine, thank you again. I just want to add here at the end, if you could please tell everybody where you could be found, and any fun things you're working on that you want to share with friends online, please do so.
people can find me on Facebook under my name, Christine Rose, or on my page, I am Coming Up Roses, or on my page, I'm Living Better. I don't have a website right now, but those are some places to check me out if you want to stay in touch. And I really appreciate being here, Lily. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine.